Hi, everyone. Welcome to 2021 EXSEED Online Conference. My name is Charity, and I'm so excited that you're here with us in this Women in STEM workshop forum. Our special guest today is Litiana Turner. Hi, Litiana. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good
Thank you.
morning. And Litiana comes all the way from Australia. It's actually afternoon for me, but that's okay. Good morning to Australia.
Thank
But
you.
I wanted to have you share a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Charity. And hi, everybody. So my name is Litiana. I'm originally from Fiji, but our family migrated to Australia back in the early 70s. And I went to primary school in Sydney, inner city Sydney. And then after a year or so, mum thought that, she'd put us into an Adventist school. And so I've basically done most of my education in the Adventist education system. I went through primary school and high school, and then went on to Avondale College, where I studied to be a teacher. So my area of study is really in English and history. But growing up, my favorite subjects, I love to read and I love poetry. I really did love writing lots of stories as a kid, probably reading lots of fairy tales and things like that as a child as well. Um, Really quite impacted my life, I think, when I look back now. But you never realize it when you're going through it as a child, who were the heroes that you read about and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's basically me. Yeah.
Tell us
What?
all about them. Just tell us.
Okay, so what, like I just sort of alluded to just a moment ago, I grew up really reading a lot of kids stories, like I mean, of course, I grew up, seeing things like Uncle Arthur and that kind of stuff, but I also liked fairy tales, and so Disney's, and you always had all these heroes, and they were always, the princess with the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and for a time there, I don't know if you remember Charlie's Angels. I'm probably showing my age, but I always wanted to be like Farrah Fawcett. I always wanted to have the blonde wavy hair and the blue eyes, and I think as I grew up, those were like the images of beauty that I saw around, and that's totally fine. And I went to school with kids that looked just like that. But I have an afro growing up, and so I tried to have that wavy look. So if you imagine if I blew my hair, the afro would just stand there. It doesn't flow at all. So that's the reality. But the toys came about really because I thought it would be really nice to have people that look like me in a children's cartoon. So I work here in Australia in an area of children's ministry, and there'd never been any resources created where Pacific Island kids actually featured in any way. Actually, our church as a whole has never done anything like this in this part of the world, where they had people of color or indigenous people in any of in an animation. So when we first had that idea, when about 2015 or so, it was not really a done thing, and so it was new in that way. And I mean, you've got cartoons that are around with Dora the Explorer and that kind of thing, but not Pacific Islander. And so this one here, the Tui's, the name Tui actually means king in Fijian and in a lot of the Pacific Island nations. So the word king being the fact that we're all the children of the king. And so the Tui's came about because it was a way that mums and dads could watch a cartoon with their children, and then they could talk about a fundamental belief. So this episode here, the robot butler, is really about the fundamental belief on creation, and that's Marida there, who's Marida is involved in the sciences, and she's very creative. She works in the studio. I mean, she's a working mom, and as we all get so exhausted with work, she's doing everything for the family, but is not appreciated. And she thinks, what about if I create something that will appreciate me more? That's what she does, and she just whips up a robot as she does. And but then moms and dads have the opportunity to talk about, why is it, do you think, that God created us? Did He create us just to be yes men and yes women, or did He create us so that we could be in relationships, so that we could talk and love each other? And, you watch the episode, it just talks about how she comes to that realization herself. Yeah, it's great to have somebody do everything for you, do exactly what you want, but you want to be in relationship, just as God wants to be in relationship with us.
Sharing this with educators and with parents, we're approaching summer here. So here you have a family worship workbook, and I love how it's so incorporated with all the senses for families to do. So they can download something here, right?
Yes, that's a workbook. So they can actually download a physical workbook.
Okay.
So I guess it's really geared towards the fact that I was always going to do something more, but time is so busy. But so mums and dads can download the workbook, and their child, they can sit there. The children can physically do the crossword puzzles. They could do the coloring in on a sheet of paper, or they could do some stuff online. That's what it's all about.
That is so great. So then it's based on this particular episode. Then you have a song chosen here on Can You Count the Stars? And it's also in different languages. I
That's correct.
noticed this before. Okay.
Yes, they are. So these are all songs about creation, because of course our division has all these languages in it.
Yes.
So the girl that wrote that creates the workbooks for me, her name is Sarai Valfanua Stevens. We're both teachers. So Sarai has gone through YouTube or whatever it might be and seen, or I've recommended some songs that I've seen that talk about creation, or talk about God loving us and all that, and that's what she's chosen those songs. Yeah. So
and then you have the coloring, of course, here.
Yes, you can have the coloring in there. Yeah, and you can do it online. Brett Donald is our guy that did all of this for me. He works out of the media center here. And yeah, so you can color in, and yeah.
Oh, I love this. Okay, and then the code breaker. I love this because this is actually part of our NAD Bible workbook. They have these kinds of activities in the Bible workbook, and even in the Worldwide Sabbath School Quarterlies too. So kids are familiar with this. And is this type of activity throughout each episode?
That's
pertaining
correct.
to each. Oh,
yes.
And then
so we've done the first 9 already. So there's 3 seasons of the toys. The first season is up. All 9 workbooks are up as well. And now we're working on season 2 and 3 consecutive, like right now, back to back. So at the moment, we've just finished recording season 3 voiceovers. So yeah, well, that's the way the production is going. So yeah, the workbooks are yet to be done, and they'll be released next year. But yeah, that's sort of where we're at.
Wow. And I think this is the icing on the cake here, that you have specific suggested prayers pertaining to the episode that incorporates current issues.
That's correct. That is right. That's why we've done it this way. Sarai is a prayer warrior sister of mine, and she's a Bible teacher. She's and I think in NAD they use the Encounter curriculum, so she's been part of that whole journey. So she's the head of Bible currently in New Zealand, but has up until now been living in Vanuatu. So she's from Vanuatu. Her husband's from Vanuatu, so she's been living there, working there, and just since COVID hit has come across to New Zealand. But anywho, yeah. So all of the stuff that's done it's actually quite strategic, because we have both have taught within that cross-cultural context, and so yeah, would love to hear more of this in the media that we see.
Because for this family projectile, the issue, do you remember what the issue, the main
family
topic?
Projectile? So family projectile was let me think
about here.
It will be it's about something about family. It's about family time. I think it was something to do with family.
Oh, family time. So yes, it's about family time, because as I scroll all the way down, I actually seen this video before, the Amazing Love, and then you have the coloring, and then you have the word search. But as I scroll all the way down, this is a heartfelt prayer right here for kids. When you've discovered that Jesus said, say a simple prayer to God, asking him to help your family to stay united, even if your parents have decided to separate or divorce. This is content the teachers, Sabbath school teachers, classroom teachers can use.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we would love for them to do that, to use every aspect of this. Admittedly, I had asked specifically that we released the resource, the workbook, and the videos for mums and dads. I was wanting to do a worship book for parents to have at home. But, the way that funding works, it's all a bit convoluted. But the reality is we wanted, mums and dads struggle so often on how to teach things to their children. But they always feel that they've got to go to a specialist or somebody else. And we're saying to them, no, as a parent, your greatest role is to lead your child to Jesus and just be the parent and do this with them, worship with them, do that. But sometimes, they just need those hooks that they
the prompts.
To help them.
They need the hooks and the prompts.
So the 28 fundamentals are basically our key beliefs, right? And so, for instance, camping, that is about the Sabbath. How the family go away, they spend Sabbath is coming. They don't in the video. Anybody can watch the video. It doesn't say this is about the Sabbath. No, it doesn't say that. It's just a family going camping. But it's a special time where family are together. You see them singing together. You see them sitting together, reflecting. These are things that we do when we are in communion with the Lord over the Sabbath time. And so there's discussion points about, how often do the family go camping? It's a rare thing, but it's something that is special. Sabbath is like that. It's a special time. How the TUI started was, we were given Julie Westlake, who was the Children's Ministries Director at the division office in Australia, in the South Pacific Division, before me. I was her associate. So she retired and I became the Children's Ministries, director. That's the term, but we work in a team called the Discipleship Ministries. So when I came into that role in 2015, 2016, around that time, there was some funding that was set aside to do a children's, to do videos for the 28 fundamentals. But it was not, and how I said I'd loved watching Disney cartoons and reading stories as a child. I wanted something that was, there's been great resources done by the GC, done that, our team, Janet Rieger, Julie Westlake, they were my predecessors in children's ministries. They've created some wonderful resources for our division, but we had never done something like the TUIs. And this idea was something that I shared with Adam Kavanagh. So Adam is a colleague of mine who works for the Media Center. And I said to him, I'd really like them to be Pacific Islanders. See, because what happens here in Australia, I'm not sure anywhere else, but I also noticed within the Pacific and especially in Australia, we have a lot of cultures moving in and out of places. And so in Australia, for instance, we have a very multicultural community happening. And so I wanted to deal, first of all, the idea was we would do the 28 fundamentals, but I wanted them to be a Pacific Island family because I wanted to hero the Pacific Island community a little bit, because so often it's a negative thing in the media. And I thought, no, we've got some great things that are happening within that cultural group, and let's hero that a little bit. And so they're a Pacific Island family who live in Northern Australia, so it's a bit warmer. Okay, they've migrated across to Northern Australia and they live there. So they live in a typical house, which is what we call a Queenslander. So, these things are all very familiar to Northern Australia, but they are Pacific Islanders. And so they will eat some Pacific Island kind of foods. So for instance, Dragon Master, okay, which is one of the first ones we released, is on the health message, right? So it opens up, but it's about screen time. And so, we don't say we're going to talk about health, but health is not just what we eat. It's how we spend our time. It's what we're watching. Yeah. It's, whether we're sleeping, whether, that kind of thing. And so in Dragon Master, we try to also use some Pacific Island words. You see, because we've got a very mixed kind of audience here in our part of the world. The majority of the church membership is in the Pacific Islands, but a lot of our resources are written for Anglo-Saxon people, European, Caucasian. And so I thought, no, this would be great for us to do this so our children can say, wow, that's me, and so they too can do this. That's what it's about, really. It's about empowering the younger generation to feel like, yeah, we see you, we recognize you, and you matter, and this is your church. This is part of who you are.
That's great. So basically, it was a collaborative effort with people from the different departments. I mean, it wasn't just you alone. And
oh, no. So for instance, definitely collaborative. So I work in children's ministries, but of course, in the health one, I talked with my health director, Dr. Krista Kuma, and Kevin Price. I worked with them to create the resource for the health one. When I did stewardship, which is I think the Bandicoots one, that's on stewardship. I worked with our stewardship director on what would be the key messages that she would wanted for the kids to know about. So I worked within the different ministry roles that we have. When I worked in that, but also I worked with teachers. A Sariza teacher. I worked with our media people, Brett Donald, Adam Kavanagh. Yeah. And of course, the music all done on here is done by one of our one of our friends who works with Adventist Media as well. Yeah. So
So
and you'll notice the different cultures, different characters there. So you've got Nick, you've got Emily and Emma. Okay. Now I must give you a spoiler alert. We've changed some of the looks of these guys for season 2. There's some of the things that have stayed similar, but we've tried to make Emma and Emily. So Emma and Emily are twins, but their dad is an Australian-born Vietnamese. Now he doesn't look very Vietnamese there, but so we've tried to change it up a little bit. We didn't want it to be like, but we're trying. So Costa's Greek, and his brother Nick is Greek. And then their father, of course, is Peter. Now, Solomoni or Tux or Tukana, right? So we've got embedded within the thing there as well, within the animation, there's these little bows to what our children's ministries department do. So for instance, on the singlet there of Tux, that's the Faith Shaper logo. So Faith Shaper is what we believe are the 7 essential faith experiences a child or person should have to grow their faith. So it's, service and mission, homes empowered, authentic relationships. So all of that sort of stuff is sort of embedded within. And if you are in that children's ministry space, you'll see that and you think, oh, that's the faith shape. It's all linked into how, even Sefer, his shirt, okay, I spent months trying to get that design in the sense that it's based on the Fijian tapa or masi print.
Oh, yes.
Tapa. So we tried specifically to do these things so that it shows it's a Pacifica representation, Marina, with the fact that she's got the flower in her hair. Pacific Islanders often will wear, when they're married, will wear the flower in the right ear, to show that they are taken. So that's the flower in the right ear. There's these little things that, if culturally, that when you look at this, this is what it means. Marida is also the name of my mentor. Marida is Martha, but Marida Tokalau, I named her after the children's ministries director in Fiji at the TPUM when I first started, who taught me how to work within those cultural norms. I'm Fijian. I grew up here in Australia, so I'm as Aussie as they come. So this was the woman that helped me transition and work cross-culturally within my own Pacific nations. So yeah.
Well, that's wonderful because a lot of the elements of these characters stem from your community, your extended learning community, your inspiring community. So what would you want to share with teachers in the classroom when they are encouraging their students to bring out the characters in their creative story, or in their when they have an assignment on creative writing?
I guess when I'm listening to you, Charity, what I hear you asking me is, how do we stay true to the characters that we've sort of created? Do we morph them as we go through? to be really honest, my go-to person for these kinds of conversations is they were Adam Kavanagh. They are Adam Kavanagh and Alex Manners. So Alex was my departmental assistant, and Adam, of course, works with the media center, and he's got children who are this age group. And so, you know, one of the real struggles we had was, were we making them too sassy? Were we making them too cheap? You know, so Adam would be like, I don't know if I really feel comfortable with Salome being so awful to Jonathan, you know, because they've got that sibling thing happening.
Exactly.
You know? So we were trying, well, let's pull it back a little bit. Let's, you know, so we do try to keep it as much as possible to how it would be. However, we're also conscious that we don't want little kids being bratty and trying to mimic some of the things that, you know, that are here. So it's, the characters have a particular way that we feel that they should be. Okay. But then once we've watched an episode and let it sit for a little bit, it's like, oh, let's pull back a little bit, maybe not so much. And
okay, I see. So you do morph into how you think they would be, or aligning it with the 28 fundamental beliefs.
Yeah.
A lesson to all of that. Yeah. I mean, you know, when because we got some new artists, you see, we were working with one company, and now we've moved to a different company. So that's why we sort of had to change. Not that we had to change them, but the new company wanted to influence a little bit the way the characters kind of looked. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of me that's a little bit old school, where like, no, they've already been established as these people. Yeah. Just leave it. You know, I do not want suddenly, who is this person? You know, I want it to sort of remain true to it. You know, sure, they grow up a little bit and they might change, but yeah. So for instance, like Salome. So this is, okay, let me just give you a little bit of a window into the conversation. So Salome here, you can see she's got headphones with the string attached and to her Walkman or to her iPod, right? So with the new Salome, not with the new Salome, with the Lome for season 2, they wanted just to put those little those the earbuds.
Earbuds. They just wanted earbuds in there. I looked at them, and I remember that I work in a division where we have both Western and developing countries. Okay, so we're first and developing nations, right?
Right.
I looked at the earbuds and I looked at them and I said, I have a problem with them, but I didn't quite know how to verbalize what it was. What I did was I sent it to my contacts in the Pacific. One of the first things I got back was, how come she's wearing earrings? Okay, because within the cultural context, maybe they don't have the technology yet in some parts. So I said the headphones still have to look big, otherwise it could be misconstrued.
It's something else.
Because it's a small thing, but it's a big thing, if you know what I mean.
No, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
So that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with.
And
her
you're
top,
right.
You know, so even her t-shirt, so she's got a blue undershirt underneath that. Like, I had an artist draw it up, and always they would try to give her a bare midriff. I said, not appropriate for the Pacific Islands. That will not fly. She has to have a blue undershirt on, you know, no bare midriff. And
interesting.
So but she's got to look like she wants to break out of it. But do you know what I mean? So we're dealing with an age there, you know, 12, 13, preteen. So these are the kinds of things that we're developed into the characters. And you will notice we've got mixed cultures there. We've got Indigenous family, First Nations, some Aboriginal families in the episodes as well, Jimber and all of those guys. But the thing is, once the 28 fundamentals finished, my dream was, back in the day, was that we could perhaps deal with things like identity. You know, when you move, you know, when you're a third culture kid, how do you deal with that? You know, bullying, you know, those kinds of issues that kids really do deal with. You know, it's we try to deal with different things doing the fundamental stuff, but there could be stuff about that where discussions are had, where children actually do talk about, you know, the things that are actually happening in the world around us right now. So
and that is true. I don't want to spoil it for everyone to not look at the episodes, but you that has been brought out in the episodes for current issue, and I really appreciate that, making it now. The other part that we will probably have another episode in discussion is talking about the foods. It's so funny how the family just loves the mom's curry, and curry can be a different style in so many different cultures, as we all know.
That's right.
And bringing out the fruits and the vegetables that are mentioned, throughout the episode. So we'll have to do another episode for that. Are you up for that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you need to hear about Peter and his eggplants and everything, of course.
Yes, of course. Now, last thing I want to ask you, I think, let's see. Oh, what teacher, was there a type of teacher, you don't have to say their name, but was there a teacher that did inspire you in the poetry and the reading and the writing? Not even a teacher, was there an assignment?
I think it would probably be in my Bible assignment. It's funny, when you just said it, it came straight to my head. I did this Bible assignment when I was in year 7, which is like the first year of high school kind of thing.
Okay.
And the teacher had given us this Bible assignment where it was supposed to be set in Bible times, and we were supposed to do like a gazette and interview Bible characters, right? And so straight away I had this idea of dressing up. And I remember, those chains that people used to have, those necklaces with like little gold coins that hung off from them. Like, I don't know, it was just like these little chains, and it like had little coins. I don't know where that came from, but I remember getting that necklace and putting it around my forehead, and then putting a scarf over my head. So I look like one of those Bible things, in the
Bible character. You look like a Bible character.
Yes. So to be interviewed, and I remember taking a black and white photograph. I remember this clearly. This is the kind of stuff that I love doing, where you were told to do an assignment in one way, but you could dramatize it, or you could write it up, and it didn't have to be just plain write on a piece of, you could, it was more like, it was like a Bible assignment with it was an assignment that we could do creatively, but we could add our own bits to it. And I think that this teacher that inspired me in that way, she herself was very articulate, and she was actually the first Pacific Island teacher I ever had. So I actually loved this teacher because she was actually, and I didn't even know that she was actually into drama and all that sort of stuff. But, until years later, she was like one of these big stars at Avondale. When she was a student there, they'd had this production of Esther, and she'd played Queen Esther. It's weird because you actually look a little bit like her. You're probably related. Her name was Deborah Arthur. Oh, sorry. Was that recorded? Oh, forget it. I don't care.
It's okay.
Her name is Deborah. Her name is Charity. It's uncanny. You really do look like her.
I do.
Oh my goodness. I just realized. Her name is Deborah Arthur. I kid you not. If you look up Avondale College, Esther, Queen Esther, right? She was my Bible teacher. Well, she taught me for English, actually. But I don't know how it was. It was an English assignment or a Bible. I can't remember, but we had to do an interview, but I did it for Bible. And I remember taking this photograph with this necklace thing hanging off my forehead with this thing on, scarf over my head. And being I think I was the woman at the well or something.
I was just going to ask you what character it was.
I think I was the woman at the well, and I was telling the story how I met Jesus, or, it was, and I was telling, and of course I was all dramatic and everything, but that was it, that it was Deborah Arthur, my teacher. She became Mrs. Rinsma, and her husband was a legend. He was my woodwork teacher. He was brilliant, Mr. Rinsma, just a legend, he was so patient, would explain him, because I didn't grow up doing that kind of stuff, so it was really neat to have a guy that taught us and was very patient with us, because I'm not spatial, as in, you know what I mean, like in any sense or form. So building things, like I draw stick figures. I'm not an arty person, you know what I mean? So I have a lot of respect for people that.
Well, that's why I highly respect, and I'm impressed that you were the lead in creating, the TUI's TV, because I thought initially, oh, she's got to be an art major, or she's got to be someone.
Oh no. Okay, so my boss is Lee Rice. Lee Rice is the discipleship ministries team leader, and he's just a legend. He's the kind of guy that just says, do what you've got to do. If you need help, come see me. But and I believe in what you're doing. And so that's it. Like, I'm supposed to manage this, huge project. I mean, honestly, but Adam Kavanagh, Alex Manners, Lee Rice. All right. And then Brett Donald and Sarai Varfanor Stevens. Those are my go-to people. I would not have been able to do any of this. And there's another lady, Rachel Lemons Aitken. I don't know if you know her, Rachel. She was the girl that got me to pitch my idea to this thing called digital discipleship. I had to do this thing called an elevator pitch.
That conference that they had.
Yeah. So I pitched at that, but it was Rachel Lemons Aitkins and she's a legend, that girl. Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing, Litiana. And I'm so excited to see what a lot of our schools, teachers in the classroom, parent educators that are home.
So for the TUIs.tv, the season 2 for the TUIs will be coming out in February 2022. So it's about just almost 6 months away now, I think.
So maybe we can do a countdown like a month before.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've already seen. I've already been seeing how many of them already have come through already. We're working on season 3 right now, so it's
Oh, so exciting!
But, God willing, everything will come together. Yeah.
Okay, and then let's see. Is there? I noticed on the website there's a subscribe button and then a mailing list. Is there a place if people had questions to ask about anything?
Yeah, there's an info. I think down the bottom.
Right here. This one? No, not here.
No, this is that subscribe one. I think they can contact us. Is there a contact us section down the bottom? Right at the bottom there. Yeah. So see how it's got children's ministries highlight comes up? See discipleship ministry? Yeah.
There, right here.
Yeah, that goes to my website as in where I work. Yeah.
Okay. And then so here,
and we've got more resources there that they could go to.
Contact us right here.
Yeah, okay. That's it.
So if they have any questions, then they can click on to this here, and then they can go to contact us. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
We should make that a lot easier, shouldn't we?
You can talk to your people.
Yeah,
okay. I'm so excited. So everyone just pay attention, because there's some other great things happening with the TUI's TV. We can even maybe collaborate with plants, fruits and vegetables, and all the mentions of the cultural lifestyle there to share, especially for our that can use the resources.
Great. That'd be really good. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Litiana, and thank you
so much, Charity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been such a pleasure. God bless you, sister.